Hello and welcome. My name is Kate Griffiths from Whole Self Leadership, and I'm coming on today to do the first of my forecasts for 2021. 2021. What a year it's going to be. And I felt really drawn to this first bottle. Let me show it to you first before we talk about it anymore. And it is this one. So take a look at the colours, and as you notice them, see what comes up for you. What do you associate with those colours? What memories do you have? Don't censor anything, it's all information. One of my clients used to call this the beetroot bottle. It's quite autumnal in terms of its colours. You might see a little bubble right at the top. That's why I chose it, because it was leaking. And when a bottle is leaking, it's saying, it's time to use me. It's time for me to come out and play. And as it happens, it's also the first bottle that we look at in the copper journey. So that seems very aligned as well, although not intentional. And my new series of meditations, contemplations if you will, that's just started, it's called Awaken to More Joy and Wisdom. And I tell you that because the bottle is called Awakening. So lots of people talk these days about being a woke human and waking up. What does that actually mean? I quite like Richard Rudd's definition. He talks about, he says, that when we're in that place of not being awake, we're really in a state of agitation, which is a huge energy and can be summed up as being about being competitive, seeing yourself and everyone as, competition. And I certainly remember that's how it felt when I worked in a corporate. Some people were so determined to get on, were so ambitious, they would have sold their grandmother to get to the next step on the ladder or to get the top mark in a performance review process. And all of that competition, all that does is reinforce a sense of separation, difference from. And actually, when you really feel into it, there's a sense of insecurity and deep sadness if that's the game that you're playing. And it's not true. And we see that all the time. So you might see it, notice when you do it yourself, when you might compare yourself to somebody else. Oh, why have they got more likes on their for their LinkedIn posts or their Instagram posts more than I've got? How does that make you feel? It doesn't feel very good, does it? And actually, you don't really know what's going on. So what if they've got more likes? It doesn't make them a better person. But in those moments, you come out of your divinity and into your very human space. And it's a bit like that little person, little Kate or little John or little Jane. And they need to be reparented and shown that it's okay to be here and it's safe in this place and on this world. And in a way, that's what that bottle does for us. It helps us to ground our energy here on earth while still being connected to the divine love and beingness of the universe. So it's a really key bottle. In fact, it's the bottle for the 21st century because it is number 20. So everything in this century begins with 20, so we're in 2021. And it was a very significant bottle last year in 2020. And it won't go away. So how do we know if we're an awake being or not? And there's nothing that you can do to be awakened. This is the thing, it's just, you can't, it's not like the Calvinist approach, do good works and you'll find your place in heaven, or the sort of Catholic one where you might do 100 Hail Marys and you'll be saved or forgiven. It's none of those things. It often happens when you least expect it. So what can we do to prepare? It's almost go into the bits where there's a trigger where you feel that competition, and see if you can shift in that space because you want to, and then you might have an experience of it. And that's where when I was reflecting on that and thinking about coming on today and what I was going to share with you, I got really called to bring in this second bottle. And it's very similar in some ways in colour, so have a look at that. You can see it's a magenta again, but this time over a rose pink. So what do you see when you see that bottle? What comes up for you? What do you associate with those colours? And as you think about the two bottles, which one do you prefer? So that second bottle, which is, because rose pink is actually almost enlightened magenta, is called forgiveness. And sometimes we need to heal something in ourselves in order to be in an awake place. I want to share a couple of stories from my day today to give you a sense of that. First is with my daughter. I've got a very teenage daughter who's rebelling and challenging everything that I say, which is kind of normal in the teen years. And we were on a family call earlier today, and just into my ear, so no one else could hear, she was sort of like, little digs. And I was getting more and more wound up about it. I said a couple of things and then let it go, and we had the rest of the call. And I knew that she didn't really want to be there, teenager's worst nightmare, having a call with the extended family. And then later on in the day, I came up to her and I sort of shared with her how it made me feel. And I was quite angry as well, and sad, and all of these things. She went away, and we didn't resolve it in that moment. And then about half an hour later, she came up to me and she apologised. And that made me feel very different. And, we had through that recognition on her part, we opened something up and we was able to have a more honest conversation. So that's a part of it. Probably goes into the essence, perhaps, of the second bottle. And here's the other thing I want to share with you. So the bottom colour in the first bottle was copper. So we can see that here with this spritzer much more clearly. So you may prefer that. That spritzer is called Uriel, after the archangel. And copper generally helps you to ground and helps you to really connect with Mother Earth. All the copper sprays do that. And one of the ways you can do that, and I found myself, what I've been doing this week, is taking physical exercise every day. And I've realised that because I get so immersed in my work, that the best time is first thing in the morning. So I nip out at 8 o'clock for either a bike ride or a walk. And today I had my second bike ride with my husband, which was lovely. And we went along a disused railway. We didn't do very long bike rides, about 14 miles. And on the way back, it was a bit more congested, more people were out. And there was this, and I guess one of the other things I should say is that I've noticed when I've been walking on the same path, is often cyclists go ding, ding, with their bell, and it's like, oof, and it sort of really throws you and disrupts where you are in your reveries or your conversation. So I don't like to do that. So I kind of hope that they're going to hear me. And then if somebody hasn't heard me, as I get really close, I say, excuse me, and usually they move out the way. And I always thank them because I think, I don't want to disturb your day. Anyway, so we were going along this path and there was this couple with their dog, and my husband went past them. I called the dog in and he came and stood by their heels. And then as I got closer, he suddenly darted out in front of my bike, and I managed to turn my wheel to try and avoid him, but we went slam into him, and I was so shocked, and I braked really hard, and the whole impact of that sent the bike flying down to the ground and me flying off the bike. So it wasn't very pleasant. I was fine and the dog was fine, which was good. And I realised afterwards that I felt really alive in that moment. And that was because For a second I was like, am I going to die? Is the dog going to die? And that made me recognise the preciousness of life. Now, I'm not suggesting that you do the same, go and try and run over a dog in order to feel it. It's just an example of when we feel like that, because we are all the time both human and divine. And it's accepting all of that and recognising, even when things go wrong, that you wake up the next day and go, okay, let go of the past. As the Buddha says, the past is the past, so surrender to that, and you start each day afresh, anew, with new possibilities. And if we can approach our karma in that way, so much more is possible, including full awakening. So I hope that gives you a few tips as you go into the week, and I wish you a wonder-filled week. If you leave me a comment, I promise to reply, and I look forward to connecting with you again soon. Bye for now.